Notes. On the magic system, all magic from Yggdrasil falls under the ranked magic system, as well as all magic that you can potentially learn in the New World. This ranked magic system bears more than a passing similarity to 3rd edition Dungeons & Dragons, and so if you're familiar with that system, then this one should also be familiar to you. That said, there are some notable exceptions. First is that there is no 0th level, otherwise known as cantrips, spell level. Ranked magic starts at Tier 1, which is roughly analogous with First Circle magic in D&D. Additionally, the highest normal level of spells in ranked magic is 10th tier, but the highest tier that humans in the New World are capable of without ruinously expensive large-scale rituals is 6th. 9th and 10th tier ranked magic roughly equates to 9th level spells from D&D, with 10th tier spells being on the high end of that scale. Some spells, such as Wish Upon a Star, the ranked magic version of D&D's Wish spell, are overrank special magic. Overrank magic can generally be equated with epic spells from D&D in that they tend to be massively more powerful than any spell of lower rank, often with unique or greatly exaggerated effects. Of particular note is that divine magic in the ranked magic system, while faith-based, is not actually dependent on a god or deity. So long as you believe those spells will work, they will. Next is that unlike D&D where you have a certain number of spells you can cast per day, in the ranked magic system you have a certain amount of magical energy, aka mana, that you can use before needing to rest and recover it. Mana regenerates naturally over time on its own, and the more powerful you are, the more you'll have and the faster you'll recover. A level 100 person, for example, could effortlessly cast 3rd tier and below spells basically all day as their mana regeneration outstrips their expenditure. Additionally, spells take much longer to learn in the ranked magic system than in D&D. On average, one can expect researching a spell to take a number of years equal to its tier rank, not accounting for perks that decrease training or learning times. The reason for this is because once you learn a spell you can then cast it whenever you want, so long as you have enough mana to power it, which is another major difference between the ranked magic system and D&D magic. That said, you can learn multiple spells concurrently, especially if you're particularly intelligent or good at organizing your time. What tier of magic can I do? Good question, Jumper. What tier of magic can you do? If you're a magic caster just starting out, you've got 3rd tier spells. In the realm of heroes you'll have 6th tier, and at level 100 you'll have 10th tier spells as well as overranked magic. Only magic casters get overrank spells. If you're a drop-in just starting out, you've got access to 2nd tier spells. In the realm of heroes you've got access to 5th tier spells, and at level 100 you've got access to 9th tier spells. At level 100 you don't have super moves or overranked magic, but your stats in general tend to be better than the other origins, and you're dramatically faster than either. If you're a warrior with the magic warrior class, you've got 1st tier spells starting out. In the realm of heroes you'll have 4th tier spells, and at level 100 you'll have access to 7th tier spells. However, you do have super moves at this level, as a warrior origin, which is the warrior counterpart to overrank magic. That's the basics. However, if you take class skill options from other origins, you can increase the tier of magic you have access to. The caveat is that if you aren't of the same origin as a class skill, your magic, and skills in general, aren't quite as good as the origin those class skills belong to. You'll have the same tier of spells or skills, just not quite as many of them, and they probably won't work for you quite as well as they would for the correct origin. This works vice versa as well. Magic casters can pick up warrior class skills to give themselves melee capability, but they won't be as good as an actual warrior origin that has them. Nothing is stopping you, however, from performing research and training to try and attain higher tier spells or skills. These are merely what you start with. However, no amount of practice will allow a non-warrior to attain super moves, or a non-magic caster to attain overrank magic. On item sets. The items of Yggdrasil are best represented by the kinds of item sets you'd find in MMOs, which is appropriate because that is what Yggdrasil was. If you've ever played an MMO, or just an RPG in general, then the basic comparison that can be made is that medium-tier equipment is stuff that you have towards the beginning of the game, and divine-tier equipment is best of the best stuff. Just imagine the kind of difference between scrubbed A beginner items and super light endgame items in those kinds of games. It's literally that big a gulf between them. World items represent those rare, game-breaker items that you have to do something really outrageous for, but that utterly trivialize the game or that outright break game balance. On equipment, most equipment in Yggdrasil is based on the model of the kind of gear you'd find in an MMO. You've got rings, earrings, amulets, items for all sorts of different slots on your body, and so forth. If you buy an equipment set, you can assume it's providing you with at least one item for every single slot that you have. The better the tier of your equipment set, the more comprehensive and useful the bonuses it will give you to your abilities. Legendary and divine level equipment sets will virtually always be of use even to mid to late chain jumpers, thanks to how much stuff it actually gives you and the fact that they are tailored to your abilities. The 3 world items on offer will be of use even to Letetier jumpers, no matter how strong they are. On martial arts and warrior drop-in skills. It's non-specific, but you can generally assume that a warrior or drop-in will overmatch a magic caster of a similar level, and with similar equipment, of themselves in combat, but won't be as versatile outside of combat usually. This might manifest as passive or active buffs that they can apply to themselves, supernatural techniques, or any number of things. Feel free to fan wank using some of the examples given in the perk descriptions. Effectively, it's as if D&D had managed to successfully balance the fighter class with the wizard class in 3rd edition. Magic casters will usually have much more versatile options available outside of combat, but in combat they actually tend not to be as strong as their direct peer counterparts unless they fight intelligently. Once again, tolerance for evil does not actually make you evil. You're just capable of tolerating evil acts if you feel there is a reason for them, and won't be unnecessarily upset or biased against such actions. If you absolutely have to kick that puppy, or watch someone else kick that puppy, you'll be able to. You can freely step in to stop such actions if you want to, though. The exception to this rule is if you purchased the 42nd Supreme Being perk. If you did that, you will always have a blind spot in regards to Nazarick and its inhabitants. They could be doing some seriously evil shit and you'll just shrug it off. You'll only get actually upset with them if they do something that is blatantly and obviously a fuck-up, such as allowing someone they're supposed to be watching over to travel to a different city without telling you because the NPC assigned to the job couldn't be asked to keep track of them. And you only find out about it when you personally meet said person that was supposed to be watched in that different city. If you think that's a bit specific, it's because it happened in canon. On Realm of Heroes, Heteromorphic Races, and Level 100. If you've got Realm of Heroes, you're in the top tier of what this world is capable of producing, as far as natural talent goes. You're at the tippity top, roughly comparable, if you were a magic caster, to Narberyl Gamma of the Pleiades Battle Maids from Nazarick, 61st level. Your words and actions could sway the course of battles and potentially nations if you tried hard enough, and you're likely to be very famous. If you're level 100, however, you're far, far beyond that. You could sway the course of history itself, and if you really pushed, you might even be able to affect global change, at least as far as politics is concerned. You've got enough personal power that only beings that the New World would consider as gods could match you. Which is fitting because as far as the people in the New World are concerned, you basically are one. If you do not purchase level 100, it is still possible for you to reach those heights, but it will probably take you thousands of years of effort barring enhanced training perks, in which case it might be reduced down to only a few hundred. If you purchase Realm of Heroes in level 100, you're particularly strong for a level 100 person. This represents you having found or otherwise gained access to a series of classes that just give unfair bonuses and benefits. You'll easily be at the mid-tier of the level 100 players even if you're naked, and you'll be in the top 1% if you've got good equipment to match your raw ability. The purchase of a heteromorphic race represents a pay-to-win style increase of ability. Effectively, you have paid CP in order to front-load all of the racial powers and benefits of your race without having to spend levels on racial levels in order to get them the regular way. This means that a level 100 with a heteromorphic race will, roughly, be on par physically, stats-wise with a level 100 that purchased Realm of Heroes. However, the heteromorphic race also has a number of special abilities that tends to let them edge out the pure stat boost of Realm of Heroes. This is intended, as it's meant to balance the fact that locals can get Realm of Heroes for free, whereas players only get a discount on heteromorphic races. If you purchase level 100 Realm of Heroes and a heteromorphic race, then you have effectively completely broken open the system, and will be substantially more powerful than people that are still working within said system, at least from a pure stats abilities standpoint. Speaking of classes, normally in Yggdrasil there are a shitload of classes. Like, we're talking 900 plus classes here, and they only have between 5 and 15 levels in them, and you've got up to 100 levels total to fill. It's crazy. And ranked magic has at least over 6,000 spells, not including any new ones that may have been discovered or created in the new world. Rather than get involved in that mess, the class skills, perks in the various origins represent a particular theme, and those themes represent you having picked up just the right classes in order to make that theme work. If you've got a lot of different themes, that just represents you having found classes that either have particularly good synergy or that are just blatantly unfair in what they offer. It's very open-ended though and nebulous, so you don't need to worry too hard about the specifics of it. Because of this, I made sure to include descriptions of what you could do at the high end with each theme, so feel free to fan-wank away according to how strong you think your build should be. That said, remember, all origins are balanced against each other. If one origin or set of classes seems more powerful than another, feel free to fan-wank it until you feel they're balanced, because that's what they're supposed to be. On races, racial options will complement their origin picks appropriately. Dwarves, slimes, dragonoids, and demi-humans make good warriors. Elves, skeletons, and zombies will be really good magic casters, and skeletons, zombies get large bonuses to necromancy. Vampires, birdmen, and humans will be excellent drop-ins. Finally, angels, fallen angels, automatons, doppelgangers, and demons tend to fit in well with any of the origin options. Race options serve to augment their class skills, and while you won't be optimized if you aren't of a compatible race origin, you'll never be penalized for it. If you purchase the 42nd Supreme Being, you receive a 300 CP heteromorphic race option for free, but if you want a more expensive option, you can pay the difference in CP, and can apply the player discount to it. This means Demon or True Vampire would cost you 50 CP, and Doppelganger would cost you 100 CP. On world items versus divine tier equipment, world items tend to have pronounced effects that can be useful even to a ladder chain jumper, and more specifically, their protective effects tend to be exceptionally potent. They're not undefeatable, but they're close. Short of an exceedingly high tier reality warper or exceptionally powerful greater deity, nothing is going to even come close to circumventing their protective powers. They are, canonically, the concentrated power of an entire world, so if the enemy can't match up to that, then you should be just fine. That said, a full set of divine tier equipment is going to have a lot of different bonuses, protections, special effects, on separate activatable abilities, and so forth. In terms of which is more directly useful for a jumper, the Divine Tier set will virtually always beat out the World item in sheer terms of what benefits are granted. However, the protections of Divine Tier equipment are much less difficult to circumvent than a World item. Effectively, it is the difference between having a singular game-breaker item with near-insurmountable protective effects, or an entire set of ultra-high-tier endgame MMO equipment that provide you an incredibly broad host of benefits, stat boosts, special abilities, and activatable powers. Which one is more useful for your specific chain is up to you, but in a straight comparison against just what is available in this jump, the Divine Tier set will provide a greater and more comprehensive boost than a singular world item at the price of not having near-absolute protective effects. This may be an important consideration during the course of your jump. There is a world item capable of mind-controlling anyone without a world item of their own to protect them in canon, and it's in the hands of people all too willing to use it. And no, it isn't Nazarick for people that purchased 42nd Supreme Being. Better be careful. Finally, at the end, a special consideration. If you purchased the 42nd Supreme Being, then you may, at your discretion, return to Nazarick for 6 months at the end of every jump, or once every 10 years if you have ended your journey without gaining your spark, using your Ring of Ainzu all gown. It will be as if time has not passed at all in your absence, and you'll be able to pick up exactly where you left off. That said, you can only have one vacation at a time, so if you've got other post-jump vacation options from other jumps, you'll need to decide which one you use. If you purchase the Rival Guild drawback and haven't finished them off during the 10 years of the jump, they will still be present on return trips, so you'll probably want to prioritize getting rid of them. That said, have fun. Jump by Brelin. Changelog v1.1 Changed Notes section, on level 100 in Realm of Heroes 2, on level 100, Realm of Heroes, and heteromorphic races to better explain the differences and synergies of those options. Added Bard class skill to the drop and tree, added Monk class skill to the Warrior tree, added additional description to damage focused, defense focused, and Magic Warrior class skills under the Warrior origin. Added Spiritualist to the Magic Caster tree, slightly adjusted the long game perk description to reflect a charisma increase. Added a bit at the end of the Tireless perk in the Warrior origin. Added new world item, the Anklets of Solundrum. Changed the additional effect on the Bracelet of Aranessa from once per jump resurrection to something else to better reflect its MMO origins and also to make it more competitive. Slightly changed wording of specific specialization, crowd control. Added, altered some text in the drop-in class skills section for Ranger, Rogue, and Sorceress Swordsman to better provide examples for level scaling purposes. Added Omnidextrous innate talent. This is based on a skill talent held by one of the Six Arms mercenary group, a part of the Eight Fingers criminal organization, whom Seb has utterly manhandled in light novel canon. Spaced out the text in most of the class skills section to break up wall of text syndrome. Added Golden Mind innate talent. This is based on the intellect of the Golden Princess of the Riestrise Kingdom, whom possesses a mind sharp enough to earn praise even from Demiurge. Added Automaton heteromorphic race. Change text in Alchemy innate talent to remove the somewhat arbitrary level limit on what kind of potions you could make. Added on world items versus Divine Tier equipment to the notes section. Lowered the cost of most heteromorphic races, to make the pricing more competitive for players, since they don't get discounts on innate talents like locals do. Changed wording of the Birdman heteromorphic race. The 3 different types of Birdmen now have more dramatic differences and all cost the same. Added text to Magical Powerhouse. It scales with level. And Physical Powerhouse. It scales with level, and applies to races forms from other jumps. Added clarification text to the end of the Detect Magic Power innate talent. Changed wording of World Champion to better highlight and clarify the gain strength as a battle goes on portion of the perk. Added a bit to the end of the player or local section, above the race section, to clarify what kind of memories you get as a player. Don't knock the modern education or trope knowledge, it can be a substantial force multiplier. Change themed aesthetics, so that the 50cp version is free for players to reflect that their looks really were made by masterful artisans, aka professional graphics designers. Added the following to the item section to pad out that area: Orb of Death, Comfy Tavern, in Summoned Mount, Hall of the Champion, Magical Instrument, and Alchemist's Laboratory. Added Heroes of the Realm, aka the mass import option, to the Companions section. Buffed the amount of CP companions get via local hero and custom NPC from 400 to 600 to make companion options more attractive. Added fire immunity and immunity to evil magic to the demon race. Not sure how I managed to forget including that previously. Changed some text in the homunculus made companion option to make her a more attractive purchase and to clarify her non-combatant status. Added a caveat to the summoning specialization perk to clarify that godlike beings can potentially resist the enforced loyalty effect, and that summons from out-of-jump systems are only enforced to be loyal while summoned, and may remember and not appreciate you abusing your power over them. Call up Maber Cthulhu at your own risk, because nothing says they won't come looking for you afterwards. Added bestiary knowledge to innate talent list. It reflects a player's knowledge of tropes, literature, and the game world that is surprisingly accurate and reflective of the creatures found in the new world. Lowered the 42nd Supreme Being perk down to 800 CP, so that people that choose that option can actually purchase something without being forced to dip into drawbacks. Added clarification in notes section, titled, What tier of magic can I do? To clarify what tiers of magic you can do is the different origins at different levels. Augmented summoning innate talent is now discounted to anyone that picks up that specific specialization summoning perk, rather than only for magic casters with that perk.